nitty gritty. It's going to be about, we're going to do this for about an hour. Oh, on YouTube, we have to speak into a mic. So should we start with a sex question that we have pre-arranged? And then we'll go from there?
Yeah.
You want me to hold this? Yeah. So you don't have to be my holder? Okay. I'll read the question and then we'll both kind of give our 2 cents as we usually do on our podcast. Let's move that. All right. This is the raw part. You know, we just fly by the seat of our pants and we have no shame in our technology game, obviously. So Camo asks, I'm a 41-year-old hetero male and I've been struggling with my kinky side for a long time. I've been into kink since my teens, but have always kept it separate from my regular life. I work in education, including progressive sex ed, and for a long time, I felt like my sexuality has suffered because I've been too scared to let my kinky self merge into the rest of my life. That sounds like I could get you, Camo, where you're coming from. My biggest issue has been introducing these kinks into my relationships that started in my regular life. I brought it up once when I was in my mid-20s and my partner at the time was understanding, but brought up the fact that working with teens and having this particular kink is kind of creepy. Aw, they're shaming them. That really shut me down for a while. I've been asked to attend some local kink groups meetings as a co-facilitator on different topics. It feels really great to have this happening, but I'm sensing a train wreck with my 2 worlds. And if you just tuned in, the 2 worlds are regular life, sex education, kink life. So, also, I think I need to learn how to bring this into my relationships that start outside of kink without all this shame. Any tips, thoughts, and tangents are appreciated.
Working.
Yay!
Working.
We're live on YouTube and Facebook Live.
Is the chat on? Okay, anyways. Okay.
We think the chat is on. So if you have a question and you are tuned in,
People were talking too, but
write us.
Anyways.
Write us again.
So, everyone. Okay.
Overall, kink,
yeah.
worlds colliding.
We have so many things going on right now on our laptop. It's awesome. Okay. Anyways. So, okay. Yeah. Shame, man. That is lame that you receive the shame. That's a hard one to feel like your work life is conflicting with your pleasure life and that it's a scary way to be out. I mean, that must be so hard to, I mean, we have it easy. We can be out about what we do because we work in the sex industry, but to feel like you can't be out in the world with your interests because you have been shamed in the past. I really feel for you. That's really hard. So, there's some past shame there. Someone shamed you. That was never yours. Someone else gave that to you because they had a specific opinion.
They came to terms with that, and they were excited about their kinky wanting and needing, and someone shamed them. Yeah. So,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Continue on.
No. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. So I want to remind you that was never yours. Which Chamo, that shame was never yours. Someone gave that to you. Both of your feeds are working. I checked. Our feeds are working. Sweet. Chat is on. Yay! Thanks, guys. So yeah, my opinion would be to start small. It kind of sounds like you're already starting to do that, but start small with some safe outlets to let them know what you're into, and to know that it sounds like there's some old residual shame that being kinky is a negative thing. It might make you a creepy human. That was never yours in the first place. So just because someone's kinky doesn't mean they can't work with children. You can work with children and be a kinky person. In fact, I guarantee you that like at least half of the teachers have been spanked or into some sort of spanking.
Some freaky ass teachers. I mean, some of my friends are teachers and I'm like, wow, you're into that? Yeah, I like it. It's like, okay, it's a consensual situation that they're into and they're open about it, at least with me. And I think that's awesome.
And that's what we say is that all consensual sex is good sex. So it really doesn't matter what it is that you're into. What matters is that it's consensual and everyone is on board. So I think starting to practice with outing yourself to various safe outlets of people that won't shame you, that will, are more maybe open-minded and will accept you as you are, and as a practice, because once you start to feel that, you need to be an embodied practice of feeling accepted as you are. And when you get a couple experiences where people are like, awesome. That's fine. Like, doesn't matter if you work with kids. This is your sexual interest. That's a separate entity. Good for you. And I'm kinky too. Hey, then it will start to make it feel safe so that you can out yourself in other departments.
And also, if you have someone that had shamed you before, that is their stuff. That's going to be something that they might be conflicting within themselves about. So remember, if you were shamed before about, fucking a watermelon or whatever you're into, as we've referenced before, that is this person's stuff that shamed you. And continue to stay tried and true to who you are and what gets you off. And remember, as Amy said, as long as it's consensual and you're doing it in a way that you're putting good somehow into the world or into you, continue on with your kink quest and do your facilitation. When they ask you to be a co-facilitator, do it. What do you have to lose? Say yes. Live in the yes state of mind, the do state of mind, and do it. Go camo, go.
Yeah, I think the fear there is about putting this out in the open, that if you go and do these events and you're more in the public eye, then people will know, and then they'll be like, oh my God, you're kinky, you shouldn't be teaching. And again, the things that you're into in the bedroom have nothing to do with your work. They're completely separate entities if you want them to be. I mean, you can make them combined entities, but yeah.
You watch Billions?
No.
You haven't? If anybody out there has watched Billions, it's the perfect example of these high-powered political figures. Of course, it's on Showtime, and it's a show that it's quite brilliant. But the woman is a psychologist, a genius psychologist who's dating this. I think he's the main. I can't remember his role, but I think he's like not the district attorney, but he's in Washington. He's head person, but they are kinky as fuck. She like pees on him, ties him up. And he is like this high powered political figure. She's this high powered psychologist, and they have this whole separate life. And you can do that. People can live that way. It's okay. As Amy said, you can bring collide your two worlds, but you can also separate them. That is okay.
And sometimes kink is actually counterbalancing some stuff that's missing in our everyday life in a really healthy way. Talking about different fantasies and things that we're interested in the bedroom or maybe not even interested in doesn't mean we want them in real life. So it's its own thing. And this person also asked, and by the way, we said, hey, Drew. And
are we allowed to say people's names though?
On this one, they have a name popping up, so they're kind of out of themselves.
Making sure.
What about this one? I should watch it. Def gonna look it up. Yes.
Billions? Yeah. It's super cool. Start from the beginning. I think they're on like the 6th season, but it is some really cool shit that happens. Yeah, I love it. And it makes, it's entertainment. So it makes your Friday a little more interesting.
And the last part of this question before we go on to question number 2 is I need to learn how to bring this into my relationships that start outside of kink without all this shame. Okay, so this is new relationships with romantic partners, I assume. And is that what you think they're asking?
Yes, because they had referenced being shamed before by a previous partner and then separating those two things. Okay. So.
Yeah, so I don't think desires for kink needs to be shared on the very first date, but you can if you want to.
There's also communities that really embrace that. You could actually just go on a kink platform if that's what you're into. There are folks out there that are looking for a person that's really into kink.
Like on FetLife, or you can do meetups that are for kinky folks too. And then also if it's just new relationships, first date, second date, maybe you're not already talking about that, or maybe you are, and that's totally fine. But eventually starting to share with that person before you dive into the bedroom that this is a big part of your life. Hey, I kind of identify as a kinky person. This is what kink means to me. Like, what do you think about that? Is kink a part of your life too?
And
if they said no,
I have a tiny part of my life involved in kink. I love to be tied up, hogtied, those kinds of things. You like some things. What's that video, that porn that you love, that from years ago?
Fashionistas?
Yeah, the fashionistas.
See, that's
hang people from like anal hooks and shit.
So that's more fetish porn. Okay, yeah. And I liked it until I discovered that I don't have to watch fetish stuff to get my kinks. Like I like dominance and submission, and I like anal in my porn, but that one has like latex and all kinds of stuff, which I don't really get off to, but like no shame in loving the latex game, but it's not really my jam.
We have a live question.
Find your tribe.
And she says, say my name, Sydney. Sydney, how do I get past my sexual trauma and learn to live with what happened? I seem to still get very angry when it comes to my ex-boyfriend and the assaulter. That's a great question, Sydney. Thank you. That's a really great question.
Okay, my first advice would be don't do it on your own. I don't know if you've seen a therapist, but definitely get a therapist and someone that is experienced in working with people with trauma, because it's energy that needs to move. With trauma, we don't try to get rid of it and pretend like it never happened. The intention is to work with it in a way that doesn't bring up a whole bunch of trauma response like anger and pain. And so there's people like EMDR therapists are really good at working with trauma.
Tell people what EMDR means just in case they don't know. It's an acronym for...
I have no idea.
Damn it.
But I know that it's EMDR.
Using electricity?
No.
Damn it.
No, it's not electric. My mom did EMDR therapy. She had a lot of sexual trauma. What'd they say?
I sort of have just a college counselor. Okay. I hate talking to people about it. I get it. There's a book called Getting Unstuck as well.
Eye movement, Ian's trying to tell us. Eye movement. Rapid eye. It's like a rapid eye movement thing. He's trying to tell us what EMDR is. Sorry.
Oh, got it. We talked about this on our podcast with Colin, I believe.
Dude, your eyes are shooting out diamonds.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And someone else is saying she should out her trauma, right?
Yes. Safe that you feel safe with, Sydney.
To safe outlets, yes. Out your trauma to safe outlets, and not to like someone that you don't know if they can handle you and your vulnerability. Someone who can handle you being angry and sad and be like, I still love you, I got you. But that person is not your therapist. They're just someone to help you work with some of the shame so you can feel accepted and safe. But the therapist job is someone who can really go back to the experience that hurt you and give you the missing experience of what you didn't get to feel safe. And that's what EMDR therapy will do. Eye movement desensitization and reprocessing.
Thank you, Thanks, Ian. We love you, Ian.
Hey, Kelly.
Oh, Kelly, hi.
So, or Hakomi trained therapist, which is a holistic psychotherapy method that I'm currently enrolled in. So I can't say that I know a lot about it quite yet, but I believe in it. But Hakomi trained therapists can be really helpful. But EMDR, my mom has a lot of sexual trauma, some rape and molestation in her past. She's very open about it, and EMDR therapy really helped her. So, I would say that's my big thing. Don't do it alone.
And I think also being angry is okay. I mean, being angry and getting through that and finding power in your anger to find yourself in that space, somehow knowing that certain things can help change not who you are, but where you're going and some of the things that you can do. So the last part.
This is my fiance knows I have told friends and old friends and nobody believed me. Sad. Even if I was 16 and now I'm 23. Yes. Yeah. It's never too late. Get in there and do the work.
Don't 45 or 55 and have these experiences.
Yeah.
As your mom, they were childhood things and she got through them later in life.
Recently. She's 66 now and just worked through a whole bunch of sexual trauma. She was deep in it though. She was in therapy for 6 months. In EMDR therapy, you pull up repressed memories and they do this rapid eye movement and you go through them again with a therapist that can really support you in it. Yay, Alan!
Sweet. Yeah, thanks, Alan, for the comment. It's so sweet.
But I really seek that out because this is going to make your life a lot easier. People just try to do this work alone and you can't, because what happens with trauma is it changes what's happening in your brain. Instead of your brain activating in one part of it, it activates in another part because that's become the default from the trauma. And the therapeutic methods can help you to reactivate the part that feels good instead of the part that feels bad.
And if one therapist or counselor isn't working or you're not feeling like you're getting where you need to be, then switch it off or ask for recommendations. There's some great people out there. And now we have access to Skype. You can meet people from all over the world. You don't need someone that's physically right next to you in your area. You can meet someone that's across the globe. So, and I think you have some good recommendations, or I don't know if they're taking any new clients actually.
Well, EMDR, you can find an EMDR therapist that people are trained in it all over the place. If you live in a rural place, then go ahead and reach out to us. God, I fucking love you guys. Woo, we fucking love you.
Oh, we love you. Sydney, thank you for your question. And you have the power. You can do it. You can do anything that you want to and achieve everything and anything that you want to. I believe in you. Yep. You're a rock star.
I like this person said transgenerational trauma should be considered as well. Hey. Oh, Morgan. We love you too. Okay. Question number 2. We need a sip of wine.
I just took one. Sorry, I didn't wait for you. Drinking wine. It's Friday. It's 420. Happy 420 if you're a smoker. We totally support you and you're smoking as well. Love the cannabis. S asks. Okay. Oh, I didn't drink. Thank you to all of you who are tuning in too. If you just tuned in, we're answering live sex questions. Hi, Lizzie. And we're also answering. So if you have a question and you're tuned in on YouTube or Facebook Live, feel free to ask us a question. We also have other questions that we are getting to now. So why not? So S asks, I'm having trouble getting back into my sexuality after having my baby. Before the baby, I was so sexual. I discovered myself sexually from a young age, most instinctively. I've always been open about my sexual experiences. My husband and me have always had amazing sex. We explore and really connect. I used to feel really comfortable with myself, but since I had my baby, things have changed. For one, I felt really guilty about not wanting sex while pregnant and after having a baby. I breastfed and I felt like my body had different purpose to fulfill and wasn't feeling sexy or sexual. I've had so many friends with that situation. They're like, I am a milk nurse now. I'm like, oh man. While I was pregnant, I had so much gas, so embarrassing. And it happens. I get it from too much cheese. And I just did not feel sexy. When I had the baby, after a safe amount of time, I tried again. It was actually so painful. My hormones actually wreaked havoc on my sexual body. I wasn't really getting wet. It felt painful, like it was hitting my cervix. And even my orgasm was lackluster. All right. I kept trying for 2 years while I breastfed my daughter. My hormones were out of whack. And while we have had decent sex, it wasn't what it could or used to be. I've since stopped nursing and my hormones are starting to normalize and I'm getting my sex drive back. However, I don't feel like I have the same sexual connection with myself. I feel more insecure about my body because of my baby weight. I don't feel as present as I could be and I don't feel connected with my husband. So finally, my question, how can I reclaim my sexuality and reconnect with my husband and my new self? And how, when I have future kids, can I keep our connection to each other?
Well, I love this question because it doesn't just apply to women who've had babies. This applies to women in long-term relationships. It's just so common. But pregnancy, your body changes. And then this person's talking about how they were super gassy when they were pregnant. There's some self-esteem stuff, and so things change when this person was pregnant. And when we have this period of time when we're not sexual, it can create a default in our system to say, I'm not sexual. And then so once like desire and arousal leaves for a while, it can be kind of the norm for the desire and arousal to not be there. And this can happen with any sexual trauma. This can happen with pregnancy and childbirth. This can happen in long-term
weight or something. Like for me, when you're not at your comfortable self, where you feel like comfortable about yourself.
Or in menopause or in long-term relationships when there's like a dry spell and you just get used to not having a lot of desire and that becomes the norm for you. And so this applies to all of those folks, whether you're pregnancy or not. So for this person though, it is a matter of getting that back for yourself. And it sounds like they've started some processes that are reconnecting a little bit, but they need more. So my suggestion would be to create a daily practice to reclaim your sexuality, meaning in that daily practice, there's something that you do, even if it's 5 minutes a day, that connects you to your eroticism, whether it's doing a kind of meditation that helps you tap into your genitals, masturbating, getting in front of the mirror, doing like a sexy erotic dance, reading erotica, listening to a podcast related to sexuality, talking to your partner about sex, watching a porn, anything that taps you into your eroticism. It can be really helpful. I have a couple of practices that I do. One is I like to close my eyes and I'll start with this one. Close my eyes and just let my hands run all over my body, and I'll just take some deep breaths. And it's like they're going wherever the fuck they want to go. I'm not controlling it. They're like, whoa, they're all of a sudden they're pulling my hair, and that's what they want to do. And but it feels good. It's sexy. Yeah. I'm hot, and it's like touching my body, and I'll do that until I start to feel some arousal and some turn on, and from there I can just go carry on my day, or I can go play with my partner or whatever that is. But making this a regular practice can make desire and arousal a default for you once again. And by doing this before you meet up with your partner, say you want to have sex in the evening, you do this right before, and maybe not just this, but whatever works for you, you do this before, then you come together with your partner and you're already kind of turned on. And it will look different for everyone. Like that's yours. Maybe, and you know, when we just did the S Factor podcast, what Elise from S Factor says to look in the mirror and just like look at all the parts of you that you love.
Your favorite parts. Yeah. She gave an example of her collarbone that she really loved. And one thing that I always do that I think is really helpful is just get outside of your body for a minute, like outside of like the parts that you want to focus on that you aren't in love with at the moment, and do something that you love to do. If you love dancing or a yoga pose, like you think you look sexy in downward dog, or you love flexing in the mirror, like, yeah, look at my arm, you know, do something that you love. And in front of your partner, be like, I want to just be vulnerable with you for 1 second. I love when I'm naked doing downward dog, or I love flexing in the mirror and being like, which way to the bathroom? Is it that way? I don't know. Whatever you're into. Fucking hell. Doesn't matter. It's okay. And do that. And I did this when I was really in the end of my divorce period. I was feeling really shitty about a lot of things. I would look in the mirror. Thankfully I had all these mirrors surrounding in my closets, like, and I'd sit on my bed and just touch every part of my body and say, I'm thankful for each part. I'm thankful for my breasts. I'm thankful for my stomach. I'm thankful. Like I'm healthy. I'm walking around and just really get in tune with, it's not even a hippie. It's fucking real. Like you are so stoked you're living on planet Earth right now. Like it's awesome. So power pose, fucking power pose the shit out of your day too. Just get like big and be like, yeah, I love myself, feeling myself.
The other thing I would say too for, yes, it's you.
Yes, that was non-consensual.
It was consensual.
Yeah, you're right. That was good.
So the other thing I will say is presence, being present through all of this instead of in your head. So in your head is all the securities and the stories of like, I'm not good enough. I'm too overweight. I hate my thighs, all of that stuff. And being more present for the sensations, whether it's that, or, touching your body and just staying present for all that, or looking at yourself in the mirror and staying present for like the beauty that is there. Or when you're touching or being touched by your partner, being present for all of that can help you to just be there. Because when we allow ourselves to get into this thing, which goes la 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 and goes on this like downward spiral.
I'm not. That's what my brain does. At least I can speak for myself in saying that it tricks me into thinking all the time that I'm, not enough. And whether it's for friends, for myself, or I can't believe and the best thing to do is exactly what Amy's talking about, is like, be present, be with yourself right now and know, and replace every bad thought that you have about yourself with 2 good ones, 3 good ones, no matter what.
And not to say that you're not going to have, we got some love. Hey, Jessica. Not to say that you're not going to have bad thoughts about yourself, because like we definitely have those that come up, and it's easier said than done if you have, but it's a practice. And that's, I think, what we're getting at here. Ange, I love Ange. So that's what we're getting at here. And that's to part 2, how, when I have future kids, can I keep our connection to each other, to you and your partner, to keep having eroticism and connection. And it might not be penetrative sex. Like, you're all gassy and bloated because you're pregnant. Might not be the time to have penetrative sex, but it don't turn it off entirely. Like, keep making out with your partner, touching nipples.
What erotica would you recommend?
It depends what you're into. I really like anything that's been edited by Violet Blue, but so I like the short stories. It's kind of more my thing. So if you look up short stories by where she's the editor, Violet Blue, I usually like her taste. But you can find erotica that pertains to whatever you're into. You can find anal erotica. You find kinky erotica. So whatever it is that is your jam, just read that.
Someone suggested Audible erotica the other day to us via email, and they actually wrote us, and I can't remember right now at the moment the actual website, but there's Audible erotica that's apparently quite sexy and hot. And I have to tell you from a personal perspective, and on a sidebar here, porn's great, but if it doesn't have sound, I can't dig it as hard as I do. It's all about the sound. So a lot of times, just erotica in general, just maybe if you're not into porn per se, you could turn off the screen and just have the Audible on. And Amy's not pro porn. I watch a lot of porn myself.
I'm not. What do you mean I'm not pro porn?
You're not pro porn for education, but I watch it all the time. I don't use it to educate myself. I just like it.
She likes taxi cab porn. I want to comment on the one last thing I just read in this question. We'll move to the next one. I don't feel as present as I could be, and I don't feel connected with my as I could be, and I don't feel connected with my husband. So I just want to add that piece too. You said that you don't feel connected to your husband. I'm pretty sure my chances are that there's some work here for your husband to do too, can be connected to you as well. I mean, when your body changes from giving birth, that means that your sexuality might change. It might not be what it used to be, and they get to change with you. And this is a learning curve. What does your body need now? It might be different from what you needed before.
And also, I just listened to Esther Perel season 1 of Where Should We Begin, episode 7, and it talks about there was some infidelity, and it was beautiful, the stories, but it gets to the core of couples and really what they're looking for and why there is infidelity. And I know that's not the issue in this, but I'm just saying I learned something about getting in touch with really who you are, getting your husband, as you mentioned, maybe to kind of do some work. And that is a really helpful tool. Esther Perel has she actually is also coming out with another book. I can't remember the name right now.
The State of Affairs.
State of Affairs. Good job.
Yeah, that's because I'm obsessed with her.
Damn it.
I'm pretty straight.
I listened to it before you came over and I was in the shower too. And I thought I'd remember.
I'm like painfully straight, but I would have sex with Esther Perel. I'm pretty sure.
I want to watch, and I'm painfully not into watching you have sex in front of me. I mean, I'm into it, but not like I'd be jealous.
Why you gotta hate?
I'm not hating. I just I'd want a piece of that action too.
Oh, she's jealous. Okay. Question number 3. Kay asks, pornography is something that my husband and I have never had any stigma about, and will watch it together at times when we are getting hot and heavy. Recently, I've started exploring audio pornographic. Oh, this is the audio porn. Audio pornographic. If you haven't tried it yet, I would highly recommend checking out Sounds of Pleasure. So audio porn. And I have a fantasy where I'd love to record a submission. I thought it was submission like dominance and submission, but no. I'm pretty sure it's like sending in your own recording. Exactly. So I want to record a submission, but I don't know how to start the conversation with my hubby about it. Any advice? What you got?
So, okay, and if you just tuned in, we are answering live sex questions, and this one's about pornography and how to start the conversation about pornography. So I will tell you, Kay, I lived in a world of almost being shamed, like shaming myself about watching porn. I never talked about it. It was this like really private thing that I did on my own, and I still cannot watch porn with my significant other, whoever they may be at the time. Like throughout the years, I have never been able to watch porn with them. It's like a private thing that I do. Since it seems that you're into wanting to do that with your partner, I recommend maybe putting on this Sounds of Pleasure in the background. You can engage them first and say, hey, I'm really into this. Like maybe would you be into wanting to submit something with me? Well, we can even do it. Just be completely in our bodies and have no plan, but kind of go into it. And it's actually fun. And we've talked a lot about being as loud as you possibly can sometimes when you're having sex. I've been doing it lately, and it's so fucking empowering.
It makes your orgasm is more powerful.
It
too.
does. So just being like, like really.
Good sex noise.
Yeah. I try, you know, I try to get in there.
Hopefully no one has this on while they're at work, and April just did that. Sorry.
I mean, hopefully they do. And tantric sex, as Sydney was asking, tantric, sorry, whichever, tomato, also is a lot about breathing and getting, I don't know, I use breath to get in touch with my noise factor too when I'm in the midst of my sounds of pleasure. So with this, Kay, I say, no pun and rhyme intended, I say just engage your partner and ask them to go for it with you. What do you have to lose? What are they going to say? No? Who cares? Do sounds of pleasure on your own. Fuck yeah. You have the power to make some good sounds.
So I would say the fear here is in being judged. Like, your husband, it sounds like, is actually listening to Sounds of Pleasure with you, perhaps already. If they aren't, like April said, start listening to it with them. Hey, let's listen to this together. I listened to it on my own. I thought it was really sexy. Someone's at work. Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. From home though. Oh yeah, good. That's Amber. So like April said, to start the conversation, it can be like putting it on and then commenting on how hot you think it is, and that you think, I kind of think it'd be hot to actually try doing a submission, sending one of these in and just bring it up nonchalant. It sounds like there might be just fear in their reaction. But if you bring it up in a, hey, I love you and I love playing with you, and this is like, I love having sex with you, and here's another thing, the and, not a but, here's another thing that I think is like also kind of hot. Is that hot to you too? And you might get a no, I'm not into it. All right, well, there you have your answer.
You might get a hard yes and a hard other thing. Thanks.
Yeah. Hard dicks.
She said husband, so I'm assuming.
Yeah, husbands maybe don't have dicks.
Right. True. They might, but they might have a hard dildo.
Yeah, but it sounds like there might be just like some shame in their reaction. I don't know if they've shamed you in the past, or you just maybe don't really talk about sex openly like that in a way that feels safe. So yeah, just bring it up and see what happens. I'm into this. Are you into it too? No? Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
And Kay, if you're out there, please send us your submission. Maybe we'll use that in our next jangle.
It could be our online jangle.
Jangle.
All right. Do we have any of these?
All right.
All the things. So question from G. G asks.
G. My wife believes in figuring things out on our own. Then the years pass and still little to no sex. It became work. It all started when we were working on having kids. We ended up spending all of our money when we were unsuccessful naturally. Tried IVF for over 7 years, and all our sex was done in a lab in separate rooms. Then nights we were on a couch watching TV. Not many people knew what we were going through. I wasn't allowed to tell anyone. She felt like a failure. We finally ended up adopting an amazing baby that is now in grade school. We both used to love sex, but never figured out each other's needs and who we are sexually. She's never been too open to try anything different, i.e. toys. And now it just is occasional sex. I would really like to bring sex back into my marriage, but not sure how else to do it. Help. Any suggestions? I have so many things to say, but I've had friends that have experienced this exact, obviously everyone's scenario is different, but a very similar situation where sex became this chore. And obviously it became clinical in a laboratory. And the minute sex becomes clinical and you take this sort of sensuality out of it, it becomes a chore. And I think that my advice to them at the time going through it was to put everything off the table. Now the baby pressure is off the table for this listener. The baby pressure's gone. You have a child that you adopted. So I think it's time to really focus on what each other's needs are. And since it sounds like your partner isn't open to toys, perhaps date night out where you go to a sex shop, suggest a nice shop or an online shop, and try to at least get into, it doesn't have to be a sex toy, maybe some massage oil, or ease into it where it's not, everything sounds so intense maybe for them, and it can be something small like massage oil, I'm going to massage you, or it's a back massager that could double as a vibrator, aka the magic wand. It actually is a back massager. So once the clinical aspect of sex can be off the table, I think hopefully the pressure can be released. It doesn't sound like that's happening, but my suggestion is the communication with your partner. Sit down and be like, hey, I would love to have a talk with you. I need sex as part of our relationship. That's part of who I am and what I desire. And we have this beautiful child that we raised together. And I also want to feel complete and whole outside of us raising a child together. And that includes you and I connecting sexually.
And what I will say is this kind of goes with the question that we answered before. Is that there's a time period that was spent where sex was just work. Hey, Frank! Woo! We love you, Frank. So where time is spent, where sex was work because you're trying to make a baby. And so it was not for pleasure anymore. This, like we said earlier, this made it a default for you. Sex, the default, not just for you, for your partner, that sex was designed for work and it wasn't fun anymore. And so that became the norm. You literally created a new neural pathway in your brain that is suggested to you and is the default that sex is work. It's hard. It's challenging. It's not fun anymore.
Ew.
Yeah. It's just, so it's now you're in a place of just practicing making it pleasurable again. And it sounds like there's, again, as we talked about the pregnancy thing in the question before, bodies change. People now need new ways to pleasure and play as we change. So figuring out what works for the two of you. You said your wife believes in figuring things out on our own. So I'm assuming that that's not with the help of therapists or assistants. I'm assuming that's what that means. But start to explore new things that are more about connection, not about like how to have the dirtiest, raunchiest, hot sex ever. She's not going to want to do that. That's like not where she's at. It suggests to her that this is important to you. Say, hey, our sexual connection is really important to me. And I'm feeling like there's a big disconnect. And this is important to me, and I'd really like it if we could maybe work on this together. Are you open to that?
Could they masturbate in front of each other?
I mean, yes.
That'd be a good way to break the ice.
I think that you two should go and either see a sex therapist or sex and relationship coach, or do some sort of courses together, like an online tantra course that gives you homework to do very connected exercises. It's not all about fucking and banging. It's about connecting and wrapping your bodies around each other and looking at each other in the eyes and appreciating each other and slowly touching each other so that it doesn't feel so pressuring for her to just go into sex mode.
And that could be part of this person's the reason they're reaching out to us is because they're desiring that connection with the partner. And it's important to get in tune with what is important to you. Is it the connection with your partner? And if that is, then voice that to your partner. What do you have to lose? Again, being communicative and doing it in a way that comes from a loving space rather than, hey, you're not giving me enough sex. Yeah. To be like, hey, I'm really missing this from us. I want the connection, and it's important to me. Yeah. And just kind of voice, hey, this is so important to me. It's not you. It's what I'm asking for. It's what I need. You're more than enough. This is what I need, though, in order to feel a connection with you from time to time. It doesn't have to be an all the time thing, but once a week, maybe.
And I want to point out that sometimes we don't feel like our partners are enough. We don't want to make them feel the way and say you're not enough. But sometimes we're like, I need more, and therefore they're not giving me enough right now. But you don't direct it at them. You speak to your needs, and you say something positive before you bring up the heavy stuff. Like this relationship is really important to me. I love you. I value our relationship. And I'm needing more of X, Y, and Z. Are you willing to work on this with me? Because this is really important. Sex and sexual connection are needs to a lot of people. Some people, they don't need them. Some people are like, fuck it, I don't need to be sexually connected. But it feels like that's a big thing for you. And so it's okay to ask for this in a loving way that is not accusing someone that they're broken, is saying, our relationship is important. This is a need of mine, and this is what I want. Are you willing to do this with me? And if you get a no, then now you negotiate new ways of being in a partnership. Is it non-monogamy? Is it, ethical cheating where you have a don't ask, don't tell? Is it that you just give up a part of yourself for this relationship? Is it divorce? There's so many things that are available there. And this is Esther Perel's work about.
We talk about this often on our podcast, where we talk about creating your own story, create your own path. If you are in a monogamous partnership, that's you have this marriage, this sanctity of marriage that both of you are a traditional. You can look outside the traditional box. One scenario might be okay for someone else or someone that was living in the Leave It to Beaver area of the 50s, but it's 2018.
God, we're not there.
Fucking hell, I would have been ostracized and thrown out. I would have just swam to an island and started my own community. Fucking hell. So that being said, Create your own pathways of what is good for you, and just make sure that you do it come from this space, come from a space of love. And I know that sounds kind of wooey, but it's true. I literally throw out sometimes things I want to say to my partner when I'm like, I'm coming from a total fear fucking asshole place right now. I need to switch up what I want to say and say it from that angle. Hey, like, I need this, or not. I don't need you
feeling.
Right.
And no, start with the appreciation. Say something good.
You're doing a great job at being a human.
Followed by the word and. Followed by how you feel.
I'm feeling disconnected from myself. Not good inside my vagina.
Followed by what you want.
I want your dicka.
And then followed by a question of, are you willing to work on this with me?
Do you want your dicka inside of me too?
All right, this one.
Okay. D asks, I'm a single guy who wants to learn more about his divine masculinity and specifically tantric sex. But being a single man, it's challenging to find hands-on instruction in an area that is targeted more toward couples. Sure, there's plenty of books. I've read David Data, Esther Perel, and I'm currently reading The Ethical Slut. Urban Tantra is next on my list, but that doesn't substitute for actual practice. True that. So I'm hoping that you can provide me and like-minded listeners that being single men and women with some advice on how to study tantric sex. I happen to live in Portland, which is probably more resource rich in that area than most cities, but it is still difficult to find this kind of instruction. What do you say?
Okay, so hello. Willow Brown.
Yay!
Yeah. Well, Ian's saying Willow Brown. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Willow Brown. Okay. So, but this person wants I want to get to places where I can practice the techniques. My suggestion here is, so there's a couple of them. One, have you ever heard of oming? Oming is orgasmic meditation. It is taught by One Taste. They're based out of San Francisco, but it's all over the world in different cities, a lot of urban cities, and even in Santa Cruz, we have people that om. Oming is like tantra for non-tantra people, in my opinion. Don't sue me if that's not true, but that's what I think about it. It's all about not having goals. It's about slowing down and being really present for the touch. And it's a practice of orgasmic meditation is a very specific practice of touching the upper left-hand quadrant of the clitoris in a very slow, connected way, where it's a meditation for both. The stroker gets this like euphoric feeling because they're connected with the person in such a way that they can almost feel their pleasure. And the person receiving the touch, they actually can just be really present for it and experience like mind-blowing pleasure because there's no goals, there's no pressure, there's not fast rubbing like this show in porn. I'm just going to burn your clit off.
It's true. That happens. Yeah. I've had some other tiers that have done that to me where they just, yeah, I'm like, whoa, like jackhammering that thing.
And now they're not in your life anymore. So oming, it's a sexual practice and not. And so when they teach people this practice in different cities, you can go to oming groups as long as you already know the techniques by taking like an oming intro course. And then you just practice on other people, and it's designed to just be practiced with, strangers or with friends, and not mean that you want to fuck each other. It's just people touching genitals, and it's specifically designed towards stroking vulvas. And there can be female strokers and male strokers.
They should make T-shirts that say like, "I'm oming, are you?" And then they could just like go into bathrooms together and like om out,
like Grindr, but for oming.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And I know this isn't tantra, and this is different because tantra is about ritual and deep breath.
Thanks, Nate. It's an app. He's like, your eyes are amazing.
I know. I wish that these were real. You can't see it on YouTube. We have a Facebook Live as well, and we're all twinkly. So this is one suggestion. If you just want more hands-on practice for a very like meditative technique, oming is awesome for that, and it's everywhere. You can definitely find it in Portland, and it's designed for anyone to show up, but take the intro course first. It's a one-day course. But if you want to do more tantra stuff, go to meetups, meetup.com, look for tantra groups there, and there's people that might be aligned with all practicing together. Brandon! I love Brandon! And there's tantra retreats that you can go to. I know Charles Muir does tantra retreats. He's from Source Tantra, where it's a weekend retreat, and it's not just for couples. Anyone and everyone can go, and they do hands-on practice with people there. it's consensual, of course, but that's available as well. So just find other things where you can go do, one day or weekend long things where people are doing those retreats. But a lot of them are designed not just for couples.
There's also, Pure Pleasure has tantric workshops on a regular that some of them aren't geared towards couples. I went to one back at the Pleasure Chest in 2013 with Reed Mahalko, who did a 101 tantric class and just the basics, but there's intermediate levels as well. And check out sex shops in Portland. I know of 5. I know that Shebop is a sex shop in Portland that does workshops, and they have a couple of stores and locations.
Reed and Alice, Reed's not teaching this year. They live in Portland now.
Totally, they do. So there are options out there if you are into exploring. But I think as far as D goes, you are on the right path because you're reading books and you're asking the right questions, meaning you're reaching out. And I think that if you put it out there and maybe you're single, but you're finding that there's partners out there that you're exploring with, bring it up. And Tantra doesn't have to be this whole process of being this embodied person that is so, I don't know, hippie or energetically inclined. You can just do it with breath. Be like, breathe with me. It can be very simple. And then it can grow from there. I do that, just tantric breathing with my partner, and it's really beautiful.
I'm going to do a shout out to a group called Ritual Tantra. I have some friends that run Ritual Tantra, and they do some Tantra events, mostly in the Bay Area, but I don't know, maybe they'll make up to Portland sometime. And it usually is open to everyone to practice together. So all you on Facebook Live, my Facebook is about to die because my battery is going to die. So if we just disappear all of a sudden, do I need to finish it before? No, maybe not. Anyways, I'm sorry if that happens. We're going to do our last sex question here.
Last sex question. If you want to write us, you can. There is so we're good looking. So thanks for saying we're good looking. I know. Thanks, Patience. Thanks for the shout outs, everyone. And thank you for listening. And if you don't know what this is about, we're trying to do a little bit sex questions because we have so many.
And if you don't know, our podcast is Shameless Sex. We're on iTunes, Google Play, YouTube. Oh, I got to be on here. Yeah. Shameless Sex. So we're answering our questions from our podcast, Shameless Sex. You can go look us up at shamelesssex.com. These are some questions that people have sent us over time that have been waiting. Don't go. I will miss you. Oh, we'll do this again. So we're also going to do regular once a week. We're going to start doing a Facebook Live where we answer a sex question on there. So if you're not a fan of us on Facebook through Shameless Sex, can we do it through Shameless Sex? We're going to figure it out. So anyways, hey, I know David.
Okay, I know, me too. Hi, David. Dr. Love. So everyone, thanks for tuning in. Our last sex question. And if you have another one, please just write us or write meow. Okay, so M asks, the reason I'm writing is because about 4 months ago, after a night of what I thought was super hot sex, my partner told me I need to work on riding him better. I was super offended, not only by what he said, but the way he said it. Although cowgirl and any form of being on top has never been my favorite position, just because of my own insecurities, I've never had any complaints from previous partners. I still haven't worked up the courage to get back on top since it happened because I'm too stuck in my head and get anxious just thinking about it. This is something I want to enjoy with the person I love, but just can't seem to get over it. Thank you for answering my question.
Hey, friend from Florida.
Oh, I know Nikki from Fairvilla. Hi.
Hey. Hi. Okay, so, all right, so this is what we want to say about this. Okay, so that's some shame that your partner gave you, saying that you don't ride them well enough, or you need to work on riding him better.
Enough,
that's just not, yeah.
He needs to work on asking for things a little bit.
Yeah, he needs to work on his communication. Yeah. And so basically what he's saying is there's something more that I would like more of, and I'm not asking you in a right way, and I'm asking you in the shitty way. And now I have made you feel bad about yourself. And this is what happens with shame. All it takes is one comment, and we internalize it, and then it hinders us from being openly free sexual beings. Like, now you're probably terrified to get on top of this person because they essentially said you're bad at it. But they're not really deep down, if you dissected it, they're not saying you're bad at it. There's not one way to ride someone. This person has a very specific way that they want you to ride them, and that doesn't apply to everyone. So you need to get more clear on what it is that they're looking for, and realize that this is not yours. This is not yours at all.
And also, I would suggest asking them, hi, or telling them more or less, hi, that hurt.
Yeah. Tell them. Yeah.
That hurt me when you said that in particular. And actually, I'm scared now to get on top because I don't want to fuck it up. Yeah. And it doesn't feel good getting on top now because that
now I'm thinking that you're
I'm in my head now and I'll go, I don't know what the fuck to do. So can you help me, help you, help us get to the next level by let's speak about this openly.
Tell me what it is that you're looking for when we're having sex. And so yeah, essentially, like I like what April said, share that your feelings. Hey, when you said X, Y, and Z, I felt X, Y, and Z. And so you're not pointing fingers like you're a fucking asshole, motherfucker. That's not going to help anyone.
Convey your message at all, because that's not coming from a love place. It's coming from a hate place where you're like, fuck you. Yeah. You're like, hey, and how can someone scold you or come down on you when you're coming from an I feel place? It's going to be really difficult for them because you feel how you feel. Yeah. And so if you're feeling this particular way and you're sharing with them and I feel safe enough to share this with you. I love you this much. I want to share this with you. Mm-hmm. I think that's a really great place to come from. And that's a great beginning to maybe getting deeper into why they said what they said. And there's a great book, that you can read. We've referenced it so many times, but it's beautiful. And it's called the Taking the War Out of Our Words. And perhaps you can suggest your partner.
Nonviolent communication.
It's the art of nonviolent communication.
Your partner needs to read it.
But yes, but it helps couples in general communicate, and not even couples, but friends, with the world, with the mechanic that's working on your car, because people tend to speak in certain ways that's highly defensive, and a lot of times we're always trying to protect ourselves, and it's in our genealogy. A lot of times it's anthropologically endorsed in our system, and we don't even realize we're doing it. We just react. So being proactive, which is you coming from this I feel space, is going to give you this huge advantage into getting your message heard by your partner.
And when they hear that, the thing that they said has brought up some shame in you, and now they're not going to get the thing they want, which is you writing them, they're probably going to listen. They're going to be like, shit, I fucked that one up. And of course, you want to say it in a loving way back. And then there's an opportunity for you to educate them on how, and what would work for me next time is if there's a thing that you want to critique about me sexually, that maybe you say it this way. You give them that feedback. But they're going to be open to it most likely. I can't really speak 100% for them, but it means because when they really feel that now the thing that they want is off the table, of course they're going to be like, oh, all right, well, yeah, so here's what I really mean. And lastly, I just want to say there's a chance what they're looking for is porn sex. Is what they see in porn.
You don't know until you ask them.
Know.
We do have a question though, really quickly.
I want to finish this real quick. Just finish this. When I would just say with this thing, like, and if they're asking you to ride them like they see in porn, like a fucking rabbit or like a jackhammer, that might not work for your body. And so then it's a negotiation. Like, it's always a negotiation. When they start to say, hey, this is the kind of sex I want, here's a porn, and it's just like someone else just like riding the cock like this, and you're like, that's not what my pussy wants. Then you get to negotiate. Maybe you only do that for the last 2 minutes at the end of the sex. Or look at that, it's so funny to watch. It's like a delayed video. So that's why this is now an open negotiation after you shared your shame and, hey, this is what will work for me better next time when you want to bring up some sexual issues. Then it's a negotiation of what you really want.
I completely agree. And I just want to reach out. Martin asked us a question for Instagram. We're doing an Instagram giveaway. If anyone wasn't aware, please make yourself aware that follow us on Instagram, Shameless Sex Podcast on Instagram. But we're doing a giveaway. We're giving away 5 Hot Octopuss Atom cock rings. And we're doing that. We're officially giving them away now through Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, with the launch of our next podcast on Tuesday. I believe it's the 24th. But you do have to tag, follow Shameless Sex, like Shameless Sex, like the post, and then tag us as well. Shag it.
You got it. You have to shag it. So you're going to follow Shameless Sex on Instagram. Then you're going to like a photo, then share the photo and tag Shameless Sex in it. And you are entered in a raffle to win one of the cock rings. We're giving away 5, and they're valued over $99 and up.
85 to 99. And hashtag Shameless Sex Podcast. Yeah. You can do that as well. Yes, please. Yeah. There's details on our Instagram page, specific details, and also on our newsletter, which if you haven't, sign up for our newsletter. We don't blow you up.
We did it. Woo!
Yay, thanks, Sydney. You can go to our website at shamelesssex.com and hit up our newsletter. We don't send out very much stuff. So we're going to close out this Friday. Happy 420, y'all. Thanks for tuning in.
And then follow us on Facebook too. You can follow our personal ones or also Amy Baldwin, April Lampert, and Shameless Sex. And we'll answer more sex questions there. And you can always email us sex questions as well at shamelesssexpodcast@gmail.com.
All right, y'all. Ciao for now.